So welcome to another EcoCommons video. In this video, we're just going to cover how to import data into EcoCommons, and there's a few different ways we can do that. So to start off, we'll just go to the platform. So if you log on and you're in the EcoCommons platform, you just visit this database or datasets tab. And within the datasets tab, you have a couple of options. So you can import from a third party or you can upload your own data. So importing from a third party is what we're going to start with. Basically, that just means we're going to import it from a live database somewhere around the world, right? We do that through something called an API connection, which connects our cloud environment to the database that's also operating in a cloud environment, right? And currently, we just have live database connections to 3 databases that have species occurrence records. We hope to add more in the future. Ozplots from TERN, Oztraits will give us some species trait data in the future. So we hope to be able to add more, but currently we have occurrence data. We have three databases that you can access. We have the Atlas of Living Australia, GBIF, and OBIS. So the Atlas of Living Australia is the go-to for Australian occurrence data, right? And so we'll start with this one. We recommend that you type in your scientific name into the search bar. And when you do that, you get all these records. So we've got 31,000 records for the powerfowl available. Again, you want to use a scientific name because you'll get more reliable results. Generally, you can try a common name, it might work. And you also just want to keep in mind there might have been some taxonomic changes recently that aren't reflected in the database. So you might have a new taxonomic name that isn't in the database yet, or if you're using the new taxonomic name, it might not have updated in the database to be linked to the old one, but usually that's already happened. But anyway, just keep in mind that taxonomy changes, and but when we select on powerfowl and we go to import, we can import it directly. So we can just say, oh, well, I want all of that data. Or we can filter those data, and we can get a DOI for our data filtering. So this is an exciting new thing. So I can generate and apply a DOI to the imported data set. So that means that I can get a link, a URL link, that I could share with a colleague and say, hey, this is the filtered data that I used in my experiment. Or you can put it in that DOI in a citation, in a paper, or a report. So that's brilliant. And then we have all these filtering options. So the Atlas of Living Australia knows occurrence data really well. And they know that for species distribution modeling, there's a lot of things we don't want. We don't want inaccurate, grossly inaccurate coordinates. So they know to filter out some of this stuff, right? The coordinate's invalid, or the coordinate is in the exact center of the state. The reason those are taken out is before the days of GPS, early 1900s, the coordinate you would get would be very coarse and often just to the center of a state. So anyway, they know a lot of reasons that you might want to filter out those data. You can turn off those filters if you want all of the records, right? But these are the assertions that ALA provides to you. Then you can choose what kind of record do I want. So maybe, often in plants, you want to preserve specimens. You want to be absolutely certain that you have the location right and there is no ambiguity in the identification of that species. The species record is correct. In the bird world, most of our stuff is observation data, right? But you have all these different options that you can choose. You can also choose geospatial filters, so I can put coordinate uncertainty. So if I'm modeling at 1,000 meters resolution, you might want to model it, make sure that none of your coordinates are less accurate than 1,000 meters. And the ALA has gone through and identified records where they think they're not as accurate as that. You know, or if you really need precise coordinates, you can say, oh, I only want ones that are within 30 meters, right? You can do that yourself. You can also put in time filters. So if I only want data from this last year or last couple of years, you know, I could put 2021 and 2022, right? I just want the recent records, or different month, different day, time of day. You know, if sampling bias is an issue during different times of the day, you might want to do that. So that's fantastic. Then I can click import, and it will download directly into your datasets tab. So if we go back to the datasets tab, you can choose my datasets. This will pop up automatically when you hit import, but if you want to check on, well, what data did I upload and what's available, you can see these are all the records, and I've uploaded a few different kinds of things, right? So that's my data in the datasets tab. So if we go back to importing data, and we're importing from a third party, the Atlas of Living Australia is great. GBIF, if you're working on records outside of Australia, it makes sense to use GBIF. And that's the global biodiversity repository. And unfortunately, at this time, we don't have all of those filters available in our API connection with GBIF. We might develop those down the track. So you can download all the occurrence records from GBIF, but if you want to filter them, and that's something I would generally recommend that you do, you can go to their website. So for example, if we type in, we go to the GBIF website and we go to get data and get occurrences, right? You can do the same kind of thing that's available for ALA data on EcoCommons. You type in Ninox strenua, the powerful owl, you get a lot of results, and you can filter those results in various ways. If I only want the preserved specimens of powerful owls, you know, I've got 8,000 results. So the same kinds of filtering you can do in GBIF, and GBIF, as soon as you hit the download button, you'll automatically be minted that DOI, which, just like for ALA, it would allow you to send that DOI to a friend and they'd be able to look at the filtered data that you used. They're also looking to develop, if you curate the data, so if you vet it, right? If you make some changes to it, you notice some mistakes in the data. So you've got a curated data collection. You can mint a DOI to that curated data and provide it to peers and others through a minted DOI. We're not going to show you how to do that. I'm just letting you know you can do that in GBIF, which is kind of cool. And then the third and final database that we have access to is OBIS, which are marine species. So if you have a marine species and you're after some occurrence data, use OBIS to search for it. ALA also has a lot of marine species, but OBIS would be a more global data set. So those are your import data options for accessing data from a third party, you know, directly, a live connection. But you can also upload your own data. And I would almost recommend 90% of the time, you're going to want to download the records, whether you get them from EcoCommons or GBIF or wherever, and you're going to want to clean those occurrence records. You're going to want to make sure you've gotten rid of the clunky outliers. You know, maybe there's a point that's still out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean for one of your owls, right? Mistakes are in databases. It's part of data, and ALA does a good job at curating those data, but it's always a good idea to clean your data set and then upload that data set again. So if we look at uploading your own data, you can upload all kinds of different data sets. So you can upload species occurrence data, maybe you have some true absence data, multi-species occurrence data. So you can kind of batch run a bunch of models for different species if you upload a file with a bunch of species in a species column. You do that with too many species and you might crash the system. So just beware that I'm not sure how well that will work if you picked all the birds in the world and hit run. So you might want to be a little more selective than that, but that functionality is available. And you could do that, you could do absences, species trait data. Currently, we don't have the API connection to species trait data, but you can upload your own species trait data. And then the spatial CSV are various files that you would need for biosecurity risk mapping. Then you also have GeoTIFFs that you can upload. So GeoTIFF is any raster. So we've got thousands of raster collections to choose from that you can access with the point of a mouse or a click of a mouse. But if you have your own raster data, or maybe you've modified the existing raster data in some way, you can upload that data, but it needs to be in the GeoTIFF format. So you can create the GeoTIFF format in Python, R, ArcGIS, QGIS, and it also needs to be for species distribution modeling, it needs to be in this coordinate reference system. So EPSG 4326, which is basically a non-projected coordinate system using decimal degrees. You don't have to do this for a risk mapping workflow. Any projection should work with a risk mapping workflow, and hopefully not too far from now, any projection will be able to be uploaded into EcoCommons as well, as long as the CRS is in the GeoTIFF file. But currently, the way things stand right now, you need to specify this is the coordinate reference system that you're uploading if you're going to upload a GeoTIFF. So that's an overview of what you can do. I guess I would just highlight that there are support articles. So if you type in support.ecocommons.org.au, you get this knowledge base. And so everything that I've just talked about is here again in a different format. So uploading data from a third party, you can look at, oh, well, how did you filter data again? Or if you want to look at how you need to format a CSV file. So those species occurrence records, for example, have to be in a very specific format for them to work on our platform. You need to have, so this would be your species occurrence format for a CSV file, not an Excel file. It needs to have lat and long in lowercase as column headings in your CSV with no missing values. You could put an NA in there, that should work, I would think. But generally, get rid of all your missing values and lat and long. If you're doing a migratory model, you can add month, just like that in lowercase letters, right? If you're doing a multiple species, you're batching a bunch of species, you need the species column to be first, and then lat, and then long, right? If you're doing a species trait model, species, lat, long, you don't have to have species, but I don't think. Maybe put it in anyway, but if you have multiple species, we have some algorithms that can handle that. Lat, long, and then your species traits as column names, and those can be whatever you want them to be. So, and again, that GeoTIFF format and stuff are highlighted here. So all of that information that I've just covered is available on the website if you want to take another look at it. If you have any questions, you can contact support. So Learn and Support, you can contact us there. You can use the contact page. I should also highlight that if you find a bug or something's not working, click the feedback tab on the right side, type in your feedback, your email, and hit submit. And that'll come straight to us and our developers, and we'll be able to see what kind of bug that you've uncovered. So all of those things are available. Please visit the website if you have any other questions or want to learn more. We've got a lot of information available. So thanks for tuning in, and maybe see you on the next video.